Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to pop in here and do my Monday live with you like I do every single week. Rain, shine, COVID, no COVID. We're here for you. Um, I'm Jessica Magoch, sharing everything I learned building, recruiting, training, commission only sales team from zero to over $100 million in 3 years. And I teach people how to sell without being icky, pushy, or annoying. So, I wanted to talk today about words. So I thought about this because someone had posted something about the plague in in London, and how it was like the height of Shakespeare's career, and he was like had all these plays going on, and of course then nobody could go to the theater anymore. So what would happen to his career, right? So he was forced to stay inside, and it was then that he created his best works, Macbeth, and I think Romeo and Juliet. And so he, because he had that time that he had forced to stay inside, he had more time to work on crafting his best pieces ever. And so that's a lesson in itself, right? Like, what are you doing now? How are you spending your time if things are slow? Some of you I know things are busier than ever. But I think when things like this happen, it's always an opportunity to look at how can I do things differently? How can I do business differently? How can I pivot? Someone texted me last night asking, for recommendations on naming a new program, and the resistance he was getting from his employers. And I said, pivot or die. Like, that's what it comes down to right now. So if you're stuck and you're thinking, I can't move forward in this climate, in this situation, it's time to start thinking about not I can't, but how can I? How can I? How can I do things differently? How can I alter my services? I saw a, a, um, a arcade game owner. Um, he had to shut down his arcade because it was obviously, even before this got really bad, it was impossible to keep things clean. And then he had to lay off everybody, and he was really upset. And then he thought, well, what if I did pinball rentals and arcade game rentals? So now he rents out this equipment to people for a month at a time during this pandemic to keep them entertained. And he was able to hire everyone back. And the great thing about that is that now he has another stream of income for his business that he never thought of before because he didn't have the pressure to, right? So sometimes the diamonds are formed under pressure. So now's the time where that creativity can come out if you let it, and if you're allowing yourself to think creatively and outside the box. So that brings me to, Shakespeare and words. You guys know I studied theater in college, so I intensely studied Shakespeare, and I love Shakespeare. And if you ever perform Shakespeare, there's one cardinal rule, and that is you cannot change the words, right? Like, Shakespeare's no longer Shakespeare if you change the words. So even though it's, a language that we're not accustomed to speaking anymore, if you try to make it more, comfortable in your vernacular, it's no longer Shakespeare. So an appreciation for words is really important. And I came across this stat, and it says that according to Compton's Encyclopedia, the English language contains 500,000 words. Yet the average person's working vocabulary consists of only 2,000 words. So that's 0.5% of the entire language. So how many words make up your habitual vocabulary? For most people, however, it's only 200 to 300 words. That is so crazy. 200 to 300 words. By contrast, John Milton's writings used about 17,000, and William Shakespeare used 24,000 words, 5,000 of which he only used one time. So of those 500,000 words, about 3,000 of them are used to describe emotions, 2/3 to describe negative emotions. So this is why I wanted to talk to you about this today, because I've recently developed an obsession with words and using words in my sales copy and my sales presentations and in naming products and programs, because it was something that I just always took for granted. You just get the idea across and that's it, right? To be as efficient as possible. And then what happens is you lose all of these tools that you have available to you. And when I mean tools, I mean words that can help you progress your whatever mission it is that or goal that you have in mind. So, I love thinking about what kinds of adjectives can I use to describe this to make it more appealing to my client. There's lots of things you can do. So I like pull out the thesaurus. Like say what you want to say, and then pull out the thesaurus, and then think, how can I say it better? So this means making a commitment and making your writing more intentional, so that you're not taking for granted all the words that we have available to us to describe what we want to communicate. And the most powerful ones are those emotional words that get people feeling something, because you guys know from my training, people buy first emotionally and back it up with logic. So those emotion words are really important in your copy. So another thing you can do is, play on words, puns, right? Using words with double meanings, using lots of alliteration and onomatopoeia, and rhyming even really helps too, and rhythm. So when you read something, there's a rhythm to the human voice when people naturally talk. That's what Shakespeare used, iambic pentameter. But when you write, it needs to rhythmically match how people speak so that when they read it, it flows easily. So rhythm, rhyming, alliteration, onomatopoeia, play on words. Another thing you can do is switch up words that normally go together and start playing around and replacing them with other words. Like, oh gosh, I'm not gonna be able to think of one off the top of my head now that I said that. Right. So somebody, I was a coach, I was looking at, instead of information technology, he changed it to imagination technology. So just one switch on a word, now he has a name for his program that is not what people are used to hearing. So it's unique and it gets you thinking, what's that all about? So here's my challenge for you is I want you to think this week, whenever you're doing writing or putting something together, even in emails you're sending, think about, how can I make this more appealing and more interesting by using the vocabulary that I have available to me? There's 50, what did we say? There's 500,000 words. So, and then especially those emotion words. So I think what I'll do is I've had a list circulating of emotion words. I think I'm going to try to get one together for you guys that are all of those emotion words, because you've got your emotions, like you're plain old happy, sad, fearful, but then you have like really juicy emotions, like, terrified and, soul gripping and things like that. So you want to get more creative with your words, especially your any kind of social media posts, your emails that go out. The more interesting you can make it with using those words, because in an email, that's all you have. All you have is your words. So you've got to use them to your best ability. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, because I think, if whether you have time or don't, you usually just don't have time, but you've got to make more intentional about your words and how you're using your words in your sales copy. All right, everyone, have a wonderful week. I'm here if you need me. Bye.